Page 8, 2 lines from the top of the page. We continue our discussion of yesterday. Can we use certain money that allocate for certain purposes? There is a concept in Halacha that if it was a pre-designation of money, you cannot relocate that money simply just because you want to relocate that money. So, for example, if you contributed the car or property or cash to certain cause, especially if you declare that it's for that purpose, it's by halacha very difficult to switch. Now, here we elaborate an example of that time. Amar Beit Hillel omrim mina maaser. Here we're speaking about the first day of the festival of Pesach, and that money, that offering that used for the first day, it can come from the money of the second tithe, meaning even with the money of the second tithe. For those who are not familiar, there is a concept of giving tithe, meaning the Torah requires us, people who live in Eretz Israel, to take a portion, something from their income and brings it to the temple. For sure it depends, as we discussed yesterday and day before yesterday, what exactly we're talking about. If it's a corner in the field, we know that is no measure, rabbinic measure is 160. But anyway, you take, sometimes it's very hard for a person to carry that amount. Imagine if you own a large produce and you need to bring 160, or you plan to bring whatever it is to the temple. You need trucks and trucks to go there and to bring it. You don't want to do that. So you selling that and substitute it with cash, and then you take the cash, bring it over there, it's called money that redeem of the second tithe, and with that money you can use it for those purposes in the temple. So Beit Hillel hold that this offering of the first day of Pesach can come even from that money. Amai, why? Because the question is, they carry some kedusha, some sanctity. Again, because originally speaking, you have the produce, you have your orchard, you have your field. This portion of your field is dedicated for tithing. You substitute it for cash, but it's in a way not yours. So why we allow that? He said the idea of offering of peace, offering of rejoicement, shalmei Hagiagah, davar shebechovahu. It's the obligatory matter. And therefore, v'chol davar shebechovah eino ba ela milachulin. And any obligatory matter may come only from non-sacred property. So the point is, why you cannot bring, Tosfot ask, something from the 15 from that tithe. Amar Ula betofel. Ula said it's when someone have the combination of the offering is purchase of two entities. One is the second tithe funds, and one is a non-sacred money. Now the question is how you do that. Chizkiya amar toflin behema livhema ve'ein toflin ma'ot lema'ot. Chizkiya hold that one can combine one animal with another animal, but not combine money with money, which means one may not combine second tithe fund with non-sacred money to the purchase of one animal for the festival offering. ורבי יוחנן אמר, תופלים מעות למעות, ואין תופלים בהמה לבהמה. Say that someone combine money with money, but you cannot combine one animal with another animal. So, meaning, you can take, in a way, part of the animal that was, the money was for the second tithe, with part that come from non-sacred chulin property, and you're basically bringing a Hagiagah offering that it's taking from the tithe. So that's the problem. So there is a concept that we need to understand. It's called a tofel, meaning that when you combining two separate entities. For example, you have part is chulin, part is non-sacred, and part it is. So you have a concept that it's called in Masrot ikar v'tafel. You have the rov and you have the miut. You have the. So here you don't talk about quantity. You talk about quality. That's the way the Chazon Ish explains it. So Tanya Kvatei de Chizkiah, Tanya Kvatei Rabbi Yochanan. We see two brightot that match those views. So Tanya Kvatei de Rabbi Yochanan. They said in Dvarim, Deuteronomy chapter 16. Misat. They use the word misat, meaning after the measure. Misat is like the word mas. It's like taxes. So when it's come to the chulin, the non-sacred, you don't take taxes from hekdesh, from something that is sanctified. Adam mevi chovato min chulin. That a person brings his obligatory offering from non-sacred property. If he wants to combine the money of maaser sheni, of second tithe, with the chulin, with the non-sacred, he can do it. Talmud lomar kasher yevarechecha Hashem elokecha, which means you can go, God bless you for many different things. In our modern days, you have a car, you have a house, you have stocks, right? You have different assets. So here, God bless you for many things, that including the money of the second tithe, which means the essence of the offering of Hagigah, a person needs to bring from the money of the chulin, of something that's non-sacred. But he may combine with that money that comes from the maaser sheni, from the second tithe. Now, we here come with a new notion, new ideas, that it can be sometimes money that it's not total, in a sense, pure. It's a money that combining with several entities. So the key is, according to that view, where is most of the money come from? Tanya Kvatei de Chizkiah, Misat melamed she'adam mevi chovato min hachulin. According to him, a person needs to bring his obligatory offering from non-sacred property. בית שמאי אומרים יום ראשון מן החולין, מכאן ואילך מן המעשר. בית שמאי, as you see in the text in the Torah, we differentiate between the first day of the festival and the rest. So according to Beit Shammai, since the first day we offer, meaning in a festival, this offering, it's called Shalmei Hagigah, the peace offering of the rejoicement. So we need to bring it from where? From the chulin, from the non-sacred property, without any combination of the maaser, of the tightening money. Mikan va'elach. But the offering that brings the rest of the festival, which called Shalmei Simcha, the offering of their rejoicement. So those offering is applied to the rest of the week. Min hamaaser, from the tithe money, which means you have the first eating, meaning the first animal that one eats, which is according to the Chizkiah, use it from that money. ובתהילל אומרים אכילה ראשונה מן החולין. So the first animal that the person's bringing has to be from the non-sacred. מכאן ואילך מן המעשר. That's basically match Chizkiah. That Chizkiah said, תופלים בהמה לי בהמה, can combine animals but not money. ושאר כל ימות הפסח, שלמי שמחה, all the rest, or the Pesach or even Sukkot, אדם יוצא ידי חובתו במאסר בהמה. He can use the animal tithe. So for sure he can use also for the second tithe, money. So the idea is that up to this point you can use the second tithe. Now, maaser behema. The Rambam said that a person yotze yedei chova, fulfill his obligation if he use maaser behema, animal tithe, for the Hagigah. The Achronim asked a question on this Rambam. They said that you don't have this dina krava. It's a Reb Chaim explained it, but anyway, the idea is that he differentiated between Shalmei Simcha and Shalmei Chagigah. So the Gemara asks, B'yom tov mai tamalo, what's the reason that one does not fulfill his obligation, animal tithe, on Yom Tov, on a festival? Amar Rav Ashi, Dilma atei le'asurei b'yom tov. Guess what happened? A person may start having tightening his flock, his livestock, during the festival, because if you're allowed to bring animal tithe on a festival, a person would do it during Yom Tov. ואי אפשר לאסר ביום טוב משום סקרתה. We cannot do this separate tithe on a festival because it's a red dye. It's called sikrata, which is you have every 10th animal, it's marked with a red dye, and it's prohibited to die on a festival because the labor of writing. So one may not separate tithes on festival. Tosfot explained that is the idea of mishum metaken. You have the issue of isur tevel, so you don't have the isur, the prohibition to eat without maaser, but again you have the issue of skarta or sikrata. How do you know that this language of misat, of measure, it's term of non-sacred property? Dechtiv, at the very end of Book of Esther, they said in chapter 10, Vayasem Amelech Achashverosh mas al kol haaretz. This King Achashverosh, as much as our people rejoice, they relieve from the decree of Haman, but they're not totally free. Why? Because he implemented taxes. So you see here, what do you bring to the king? Taxes, something that is non-sacred. So misat has to be something that is not sacred. So Tosfot said the source, because it's written several times in the Torah, the word mas for the physical work, and the Book of Esther is the monetary taxes. Anyway, so the word must can be interpreted more than one way. The Mishnah said, Israel yotzin yedei chovatan ben darim u'nedavot. So regular people who come to a Beit HaMikdash, they fulfill their obligation with a to eat peace offering, rejoicing with the vow offering and gift offering. So the whole concept of simcha, we explained it yesterday and day before yesterday. The real simcha, especially in those days, but you can say it in many ways to our times too, is the eating the most expensive, heavy animals' meat. That's act of feast and rejoicement. I'm not talking to Anne or other people who are vegan. I'm talking about people that pay a lot for that meat. So the idea is, when it's come to simcha, so that's the idea of besar kodashim, tanu rabanan, v'samachta b'chagecha. We have a separate mitzvah on a festival to be happy, to rejoice. So, since the Torah did not specify what makes you happy, every person has a different thing that makes him or her happy, right? So they said, Lerabot kol minei smachot lesimcha. So come to include all type of rejoicing, fulfilling the mitzvah of rejoicing. So Rashi said that anything that makes you happy, you can use. Tosfot see it a little differently. Anyway, Mikan Amru Chachamim, that even at the time of Beit HaMikdash, what is the real rejoicement? It said, Yotzin Yedei Chovatan, Israel Yotzin Yedei Chovatan. So, the Torah said in Deuteronomy 27 that you should Vezavachta Shlamim, you bring these animals offering, Ve'achalta Sham, and you shall eat there, Ve'samachta Lifnei Hashem Elokecha, and you rejoice. So by the derivative of the text, what we understand? That the rejoicement is the act of eating that expensive animal there. That's the fulfillment. Bindarim, undavot, umasar bema, that's different vow offering, voluntarily offering, animal type. Ve'akohanim, Kohanim is a different category. So their fulfillment is bechatat, ve'asham, ubibchor chazeh, uvechazeh, v'shok. They have a different offering that people give. It's a sin offering, guilt offering, firstborn offering, breast and thigh. Yacholaf be'ofot u'menachot. How about those relatively cheap meat, which is bird offering, meal offering? Talmud lomar ve'samachta b'chagecha. You shall rejoice in your chag, in your feast. So the idea is that's the Korban Hagiagah. It's called Chagi, Chelev Chagi, it's Chag, it's rejoicement. So they said, Mi shechagiga ba'a mehem. Page 8b, Mi shechagiga ba'a mehem. So it applies to sheep and cattle. This type of Hagigah, the offering come from them. So Rashi said the issue here is the leftover. Rashi said the Hagigah chelev ktiv ba lo yalin chelev chagi. The issue is that you have leftover. Yatsu elu she'en Hagigah ba mehem. So there are certain animals that the peace offering may not come. So according to the Tosfot, we learn Gzerah Shava, the comparison. We learn in Harival that it's specifically Zvachim, same as here. Rav Ashi Amar, Mi vesamachta nafka. You don't need to go to all these different sources. You learn from the word vesamachta, you should rejoice. Since the Torah commanded us to have the rejoicement, Yatsu elu, we take out what? Those bird offering and meal offering, she'ein bahem simcha, that not have the element of rejoicing. The joy of eating is provided only by animal meat. So basically Rav Ashi, according to Siach Yitzchak, is not disputed the previous view. He just dig in the source of that. Rav Ashi, hay bechagecha ma yavidle. What does that mean when the Torah said in your feast? Why the Torah mentioned that? So it looks like superfluous. Hahu lichde Rav Daniel bar Ktina. The Amar Rav Daniel bar Ktina Amar Rav minayin she'en nosim nashim b'moed. How do you know that you're not getting married during the intermediate day of the festival? שנאמר ושמחת בחגיך ולא באשתך, that you should rejoice in the festival but not with his wife, because guess what, a guy gets high when he gets married. So he focused on the marriage and not on the festival. So Tosfot explained that you see v'samachta, it's written bechagecha, not bachag. So he explained, there's several explanations why you don't marry women during the festival. But the idea is that we designated certain, you don't mix celebrations. So it's different entities. Married is one thing, festival is another thing. Each party has a different, title.
Spread them out so you can
Spread
enjoy
them
more.
out.
So you can enjoy more for longer.
Enjoy more. Okay. Now we go to a different subject. In a way, it's continuation of the idea of purchasing appearance offering and a rejoicement offering, Shalmei Hagiagah. The issue is sometimes we need to have a proper measurement. There are some people who are poor, some people who are rich, some people have many family members, there are people who have a small family. How you treat it? Mi sheyesh lo ochlim merubim. One have many people who is part of his household. We said every Motzei Shabbat, Zar'einu vechaspeinu yarbe kachol. God increase our descendant and our wealth like a sand. So usually it's divided, either one. Those who have many children, usually, I'm not talking about exceptions, but usually they don't have much money.
Because it costs a lot of money to raise a lot of children.
Money, whatever it is. And there are some who have a lot of money, but they have no children. So it can go either way. Anyway.
They didn't spend all their money on the children.
Didn't spend the money on the children. Anyway. So you have many people in the household wants to eat meat on a festival. The person doesn't have much wealth. מביא שלמים מרובים ועולות מועטות. So he bring peace offering many and burn offering few, so that he can manage properly and he fulfill his obligation in a small amount. So in a way, the difference is between Shamayim and Adam, between heaven and the people. What exactly you need to appease, in a way, Shamayim, and what for people. What's the proper measurement? Nechasim merubim, someone has a lot of money, ve'ochlim muatim, but very few. Do you know anyone who has a big house, huge mansion, and have no one in his or her world? Unfortunately, there are too many people in this world like that, right? Mm-hmm. So here you have someone who has a lot of money, but there are very few people that can rejoice his money, can eat. So what did he do? Mevi olot merubot. He needs to bring many olat riyah. Rashi explained, the Torah said, Ish kematnat yado. So everyone according to his capability. Ushlamim muatim. Why shlamim muatim? Because the issue is, you should not come to the issue of notar, of leftover. Because if that meat is become disqualified, so what left over is the issue. The Meiri explained, because what do you do with that? This is like a sacred. When it's come to olat riyah, you burn the meat on the altar. When it's come to Shalmei Chagigah, you eat it. But what do you do here? Whom you give it? What do you do? So Tosfot explained. Tosfot is a very beautiful Tosfot here.
Can you give leftover to the poor of Shalmei Chagigah if there's leftover?
In general.
Or do you have to finish it with you and your family, the designated
The whole
people?
purpose of it's a family event.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying if there is something left over, as you said, there's a problem with that. If there's something left over,
answer
so
in a Jewish way. I answer with the question. All right. If you follow Tosfot,
right?
If a person can bring everything, but he said he brought Yerushalmi and he said, "Ani v'yado rechava." קורא אני עליו איש כמתנת ידו. In everything you have a minimum and maximum. The same as the tzedakah, you have a gdarim, you have definition. You have certain priorities, meaning you have poor people, you have widows, you have orphans, you have hospitals, you have all kind of causes. So you have to make a certain priorities. Thank you. You need to make a certain measurement.
No, I understand that.
No.
Yep.
So now what happened is you go by ish kematnat yado, each and every person according to his ability.
Right.
So when it's come to Shalmei Hagigah, so he said, if you have a poor person that have a large heart and he would like to so this said, Omer ani koran elav ish kematnat yado, he makes an extra effort, so he in a way mitametz, he make an effort, so we said kematnat yado, according to his ability. Ashir veyado muata, wealthy person who is miser, who is greedy. Do you know anyone like that? Anyway, so he said, Ne'emar kebirkat Hashem Elokecha. We obligated you according to the way Hashem bless you. If Hashem bless you with $100 million, right? So he said, Ani v'yado muata. But if it's a poor person who is not capable, al ze ne'emar, therefore we said, ma'a kesef, shtei kesef, and pachot ma'a kesef, and pachot mishtei kesef. You have a minimum measurement even for a poor person who is... Now the thing is for sure, when you have leftover, and if it's available, poor people around, but just remember that at that time, it was abundance of meat that came, huge.
During the
festivals,
okay.
So therefore, it may turn to issue of notar. That's
I see, because...
Ze veze muat, if someone have a few properties and also few family members, על זה נאמר מאה כסף, שתי כסף. The minimum is מאה כסף, you have a amount of 1 silver, שתי כסף, 2 silver coin for the festival peace offering. זה וזה מרובים, if someone have both, he blessed with a lot of properties and many family members, על זה נאמר, איש כמתנת ידו, every man shall give as he is able, כברכת השם אלוקיך, according to the blessing that the Lord your God, אשר נתן לך, that he given you. So you see here how the Torah in a very fair way measure those both עולת ראייה and שלמי חגיגה. For sure, there are mefarshim on that, the Maharsha elaborates. Let's continue with Gemarrah. Shlamim merubim. So he said, someone who have many, so he bring many peace offering. Meheicha maiti, haleitle. He doesn't have so much. Amar Rav Chizda tofel umevi par gadol. He combined. Remember we said early combination? So he combined. So even we don't bring an obligatory offering only from something that it's non-sacred, but you see that the part he can do in one of the two ways, either animal with animals, be'ima li be'ima, or ma'ot le ma'ot. You combine a second tithe with a non-sacred money. Amar le Rav Sheshet respond to Rav Chizda and he said, Hare amru toflin be'ima li be'ima. We just said that you combine the two animals. Ma'ika amar li, what Rav Sheshet meant to ask. Ilay ma'achika amar li, hare amru toflin be'ima li be'ima, lavo lavo ma'ot le ma'ot. ולמה להם תופלים מעות למעות, so you cannot combine the money. So since Rav Sheshet challenged that way, it means that you need to ask that we shouldn't combine money. So here we see a shita chadasha, the third view that is total different, and that's Rav Sheshet. אלא האחי אמר לי, הרי אמרו אף תופלים בהמה לבהמה. So again, the question is, Velei malei. So Rav Chizda should say clearly, Ein toflim ma'ot lema'ot. One may not combine money with money. So he said, is a new shita, is the third one, which is Rav Sheshet's view. אלא אחרי כאמר לי, הרי אמרו, אף תופלים בהמה לבהמה. You even combine animals. So why you don't suggest that the individual may bring other animals from the second tithe money? כמן דלא כחזקיה. חזקיה allow the combination only of animals, ודלא כרבי יוחנן that allows between money, which means only money to money and not animal to animal. So neither one of them, that it's only Chizkiah Rabbi Yochanan, who we learn that the first eating must come from the non-sacred property, which means the first animal that the persons eat, it has to be totally from something that is non-sacred property, and combining is permitted only for the second animal. So the idea is that one may combine an additional animal with the first one. One may not combine money with other money to purchase even one animal. Mai achila rishona. What does that mean when we say the first eating? Which means you're combining a non-sacred money with the second tithe money. They said shi'ur dmei achila rishona min achulin. So in my book, Burak Lomar Berashi, Rashi said here, דמי אכילה ראשונה, כלומר אכילה ראשונה סתם הקטני, דאית לבין בהמה עצמה, בין מעות שיעור אכילה ראשונה. So here Rashi tried to tell us that a shi'ur, the measurement of the אכילה ראשונה, it's part of the measurement, which means as follows. The first animal he brings for the purpose of Hagigah, and that money has to come from the non-sacred, from the chulin. And the only additional animals, it can come from the money of the tithes. Number two, the measurement of the first eating from the first animal, it has to come from the non-sacred money, and the rest can come from the tithe money. So, in the way the Rashi understands, in my view, after reading the Klomar, it means that this Braita allowed to go both ways. But if you try to wrap up the whole point of Toflin, which is combining the two, you have here Rabbi Yochanan and Rav Chizda in the Braita that allows only a combination of what? Of money with money. Second view is Chizkiah and the second Braita that allow to combine only animal with animals. And then you have Rav Sheshet and the second Braita that you can do in both ways. Amarula, Amar Reish Lakish, הפריש 10 בהמות לחגיגתו, חוזר ומקריב 5 ביום טוב שני. So here he speaks about individual who separated 10 animals for the purpose of his festival peace offering. Now he used 5 of them for the first day of the festival. So the idea is he can come back and sacrifice the remaining 5 on the second day of the festival or on any of other days. So the whole idea of you should not add in Deuteronomy 13 is not applies here, because the remaining offering completes the first day offering. That's the idea. Meaning, we derive from that that you can go, Reb Nachem Zombe, my brother-in-law, published several books of his. Reb Nachem Zombe is one of the luminary sages that get killed during the Shoah, during the Holocaust. So in his responsa, he elaborates here, and he explains that when it's come to Hagiagah lishmo, leshem Hagiagah. So here, when you have the addition, the notar, the leftover, it's not really Chol HaMoed. It's basically based on the first one. You don't have the idea of Bal Tosif. Yet, Rabbi Yochanan Amar.
Well, so are they talking, when he says the second day of the festival, are they talking about the second Yom Tov, as in the last day of for example, Pesach, or are they talking about the first day of Chol HaMoed?
Excellent point. The idea is, according to Rabbi Menachem Zombe, it's here the days after the first day. The
Chol HaMoed. So it's the first.
You see it in the Meir, in Turei Even, etc. But there is, don't think that that's the final one. The Rabbeinu Hananel have challenged that, because the language the Gemara
challenges what he thought they were saying, whether they were saying the last day, the Yom Tov of the Chol.
But we don't go that
I understand.
Way. Yeah. Menachem Zombe explained it beautifully, and he said that he followed that view of Meiri and Turei Even, and he said that it applies if a person have 10 animals. And he brought them on the first day, and let's face it, there's a limit how much a person can use. So he can go ahead in intermediate days, and he's not considering Bal Tosif, because he's taking those original one, in a sense, you know the concept of predesignation, setup. The idea of, we call it in halacha chalot. What does that mean, chalot? Not bread.
Right.
Chalot meaning that if lechatchila, if in advance, you're designating something for certain purposes, you basically sanctified it in some ways, and it's designated for that purpose. So even some ways you cannot use it for the first day, by merely fact that you did it in advance, you can go ahead doing the intermediate days and use it. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Keivan shepasak shuv eino makriv. He said, since he stopped after the first 5 offering on the day on which he first brought the festival peace offering, he may no longer sacrifice the remaining animals on the other days, as that will be considering celebrating an extra day. So Rav Shach Zatzal, in one of his shiurim, explains that when it's come to Hagigah, we have to zoom in the text in the Torah. The Torah said, "Velo yalin chelev chagi ad boker." What does that mean, chagi? So he explains that you have to say, "Kevan shepasak," since he stopped, so he cannot use the remaining. So otherwise, it's the issue of Bal Tosif. Amar Rabbi Abba velo plige. Rabbi Abba said that Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish did not dispute it. So there is a concept of Bal Tosif. But he brings Tashlumim for the previous day. How? Kan bestam, kan bemfaresh. Remember what we said earlier? You have to differentiate between someone who specified that he intended to sacrifice this offering, and therefore it's assumed that he meant to sacrifice them all on the first day, versus the idea that one who is explicitly said at the outset that he intended to bring them all the days of the festival. That's Rabbeinu Hananel. So Gemarrah elaborates, said, "Hai stam echedame, ilei madele kashrut beyom likarev, hai delo akrevinu, dele kashrut beyom." He doesn't have enough time. Ela deleit leochlin. But he doesn't have people in his household that can eat it. Hayde lo akrevinu, deleit leochlin. Right? Must tell you a story. When I was a rabbi in New Jersey, so we had a congregant that lost all his family during the Shoah, and he married again. But he never had children, his wife passed. So once he made a very large celebration, Kiddush celebration, It was at that time my 5th anniversary of that shul. So we have many people, many guests, and people ate, and it was a lot of food. That individual has the issue, how do you call it, that the person cannot eat. He needs to have something, how do you call it?
You mean like a feeding tube, or?
Some types like that. He was very limited with the ability of eating.
Mm-hmm.
So he said to me in Yiddish, he said, how good is this variety of endless foods you have here on the table?
You enjoy it.
You cannot enjoy it. Nebuch, the person have tons of money, but have no one in the world. And even the food that was on the table, so many variety of food, he cannot eat. Anyway, Hayde lo akrevinu delet lo ochlin. Nebuch, you have no people. לא צריכה דאיקה שעות ביום, ואית לא אוכלין. דבקמה לא אקרבינו שמאמינה שיורי שיירינו. So it means that they conclude that for left them intentionally, so therefore it's no longer permitted to sacrifice them on the other days of the festival. והאחרונה מסתברא. So it's also reasonable that Rabbi Yochanan agrees that if one sacrifices his intentions, he may sacrifice the offering on the remaining days. Dechiyata Rabbi Rabbi Yochanan. When Rabbi came to Eretz Israel from Babylon, he said to Rabbi Yochanan, הפריש 10 בהמות לחגיגתו, והקריב 5 ביום טוב ראשון, חוזר ומקריב 5 ביום טוב שני, קשיא עדדי. So how you can do that? In one hand you said that you can do it, and the other one not. The other one you said that you go the second one. לאו שמאמינה, כאן בסתם כאן מפרש מאמינה. We said several times when the Torah when the text repeats twice, like tiyuvta twice, kashya twice, here shmamina twice, that's the final word, which means you have to differentiate between someone who explicitly said it and someone who was not. Itmar nami, we learn also Amar Rav Shemen bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan, page 9, לא שנו אלא שלא גמר, אבל גמר חוזר ומקריב. The Torah said in Vayikra in Leviticus 23, וחגותם אותו. Oto, it's 1 day. What does that mean? So Rashi explained to us that if a person is celebrating more than 1 day, he is in violation of Bal Tosif. You should not add. So here the idea is lo shanu shelo gamar. Aval gamar chozer umakriv. My gamar. What does that mean that he finished? Ilema gamar korbanotav. That a persons have leftover animals that he already designated for offering. My makriv. We just said that the only time to do it is the first day. Ela shelo gamar hayom, which means today he did not finish. So now you have leftover. So you are, the Braita said, in prohibition to offer, to sacrifice the leftover animal. Aval gamar hayom. However, if he is already the day completed before he was able to offer, meaning he is in a process, he is standing there, he is offering. But it's not that he offered all those animals and no one can use it anymore. He is in a situation that he have plenty of people that can use it, yet the day is over. So the day is over, then chozer umakriv. Let's face it, there is a process of offering. It doesn't happen in a second. So since you have a process and many people and many members, etc., it may turn that it wasn't, even he was there earlier, it wasn't enough time. Imagine if a person have a large family with many animals, etc., etc. So he allowed to go ahead and offer what left over, because in a way it's not really left over. It's just the day was gone. Versus the other situation that he is no people to use it, and therefore if the day is over you cannot take those animals and use them as an offering, because it's already a separate entity, it's a different It's not the Chag, the obligation of the offering, or that particular holiday. It's important to note when we use the word Chag, usually when we use the word Chag is applied to Sukkot. But for our discussion, it's not necessarily Sukkot, it can be any other festival as well. Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 546 and also in Even HaEzer 64. Ein nosim b'moed. One may not marry on the intermediate day of the festival, even if he does not celebrate the marriage with the feast. That's Magen Avraham. Nor may one perform Levirate marriage during the intermediate day of festival. However, Erusin is okay, Henna is okay, right? It is permitted to betroth a woman on this intermediate day, provided that he does not celebrate by holding a betrothal feast at the home of his betrothed, although he may do so in other place. Furthermore, it is permitted to remarry one's divorced wife on the intermediate day of the festival.
Malachai, Shuloim, Malachai.